boys and girls, welcome to Everyday Math Lesson 1.4, working on addition facts. The materials that you'll need: notebook paper, pencil, math journal, and also if you have a deck of cards. And the deck of cards would be without any jacks, queens, kings, and jokers. Let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is go over math journal page 4, which is the page that we talked about in our previous lesson. If you notice that you have any wrong, please fix those with your pencil and eraser. So for the first row, we needed to write the time. So looking at the first clock, the time that you should have written would have been 12:30. Notice how that hour hand is in between the 12 and the 1, and the minute hand, the longer hand, is on the 6. For the second one, you should have written down the time 8:30. Again, our hour hand is in between the 8 and the 9, and our minute hand is right on the 6, showing our 30. For the third one, you should have shown 10:15. Our hour hand is just a little bit past the 10, and our minute hand is on the 3, showing 15 minutes have passed. Then for the next row, we were drawing the hands. So when I was showing 5 o'clock, my hour hand, my shorter hand, would be on the 5, and my minute hand would be up to the 12. For number 5, when I'm showing 9:30, my hour hand, my smaller hand, is in between the 9 and the 10, and then my minute hand is on the 6. For number 6, when I'm showing 1:45, my hour hand is in between the 1 and the 2, but it's closer to the 2. And then my minute hand is going to be on the 9, showing 1:45. For number 7, you were asked to draw the time for 1 o'clock. So my hour hand is on the 1 and my minute hand is on the 12. For number 8, the time that was shown is 7:45. I can see my hour hand is in between the 7 and the 8. It is closer to the 8, and my minute hand is right on the 9. And then for number 9, the time was 2:15. Our hour hand was at the little past the 2, and our minute hand was on the 3. And if you have any questions about this, you can ask your classroom teacher. Otherwise, we will spend more time on clocks in later lessons. If you could take out your notebook, paper, or whiteboard and marker, if available, to write down your answers from the next slides. If the speed is too fast, please pause as often as needed. So for the first thing, I'm going to say a number, and I want you to write down the number that is 1 more. So write down the number that's 1 more than 15. You should have written down 16. Write down the number that's 1 more than 20. You should have written down 21. How about 1 more than 29? You would have said 30. 1 more than 135. You would say 136. 1 more than 99. You would say 100. 1 more than 104. You would write down 105. The commas that I have here are just so you can kind of separate the number. So they're just kind of places to have some space. For our last row, what number would be 1 more than 109? You would have 110. 1 more than 789. You would have 790. And for our last one, 1 more than 1,000, you would have 1,001. And if you want more practice with these, you can pause the video, make up some problems on your own, and then press play when you're ready to continue. The next thing I'm going to talk to you about is a game called Addition Topic. And I'm going to show you a little bit how to play the game with a few rounds, and then you're going to need to play a couple rounds in your math journal today. So before starting, if you could take out any jacks, queens, kings, or jokers from your deck of cards. We only want the number cards. And if you don't have cards today, still follow along, and you can use some of my cards for some of the practice. So the rules of the game, you're going to mix or shuffle the cards and place them in a pile face down between the two players. If you don't have someone to play against, you can play against yourself or against a stuffed animal. One player will turn over two cards and say the sum of the numbers. When we're talking about the sum, we're talking about what the answer is when we're adding the two numbers together. The other player turns over the next two cards and says the sum of the numbers. The player with the higher sum or the higher total takes all four cards. In case there is a tie, each player will draw one more card to add to their sum, add to their amount. The higher sum wins all the cards. The game ends when there's not enough cards remaining for both players to have another turn. The winner is the player with more cards. So I'm going to show you a couple rounds, and I have a recording sheet that I'm going to show you because you'll need to use a recording sheet when we get to our math journal page today. So let's pretend that I'm player 1 and that you're player 2. So I have a 4 and a 7. And you have a 3 and a 1. So I'm going to add those together. So I know that 4 plus 7 is equal to 11. And you had 3 plus 1, which is equal to 4. 11 is greater than 4. So I would get all four of these cards in my pile. Let's try another round. This time I have a 1 and a 7. And you have a 3 and a 4. Can you add those totals together? 1 plus 7 is equal to 8. 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. So again, 8 is greater than 7, which means player 1 had the larger number. We'll do one more round. This time, player 1 has a 1 and a 4. Player 2 has a 3 and a 7. Can you add the totals together? 1 plus 4 is 5. 3 plus 7 is 10. So 5 is less than 10. So player 2 would get these cards this time. So now let's try in our math journal. So if you could put your notebook to the side and open up your math journal to page 5. So for the top part, you are just adding the numbers. You can use the dice and write down your totals for each. For 5, 6, and 7, you are also adding, but you do not have the dice. Be a little bit careful with number 6. It's asking you 8 plus what equals 11. So how much more do you need from 8 to get to 11? Same thing from number 7. Think about what number plus 4 would get you to 10. Now for the bottom part, you're playing addition topic. So I want you, if you have the cards, you're going to flip over your two cards and you would write down your numbers and what they equal. And then player 2 would flip over two cards and write down their two numbers and what they equal. Then you can use that less than or greater than symbol or equal to if it's a tie. And play 3 rounds to see who the winner is. If you don't have cards, you could also just make up numbers to have your number models for that part. When you're all done, I want you to take a picture and add the picture to Seesaw for your classroom teacher. We will go over the page in our next video. Thank you.